All living organisms reproduce. Bacteria divide. Yeast cells bud. This transfers genetic info. But what about mules? So, it's not a defining property. Reproduction is the biological process by which living organisms produce new individuals of their own kind. But what about mules? So, it's not a defining property. Is reproduction a defining feature of life? Bacteria multiply by binary fission. Yeast cells reproduce by budding. Higher organisms use gametes, yet so it's not an all-inclusive property. Plants reproduce in different ways. Flowering plants can produce seeds through sexual reproduction. Under suitable conditions, these seeds develop into new plants. In sexual reproduction, specialized reproductive cells called gametes participate in the formation of a new individual. The fusion of male and female gametes forms a zygote, which can develop into a new organism. Sexual reproduction also creates genetic variation because offspring receive genetic information from two parents. But not all organisms require two parents. Asexual reproduction involves a single parent. In binary fission, one bacterial cell divides to produce two daughter cells. In budding, a new organism develops as a small outgrowth from the parent. Plants can also reproduce asexually through vegetative propagation. These examples demonstrate that reproduction does not always require two parents. Reproduction can broadly be divided into sexual and asexual reproduction.
Reproduction is a key characteristic. Bacteria show binary fission. Plants propagate vegetatively. Gametes fuse in sexual reproduction. Yet, mules and worker bees are sterile. Hence, it is not an absolute defining property. However, reproduction is not an absolute characteristic of every individual living organism. For example, sterile worker bees are living organisms but do not normally reproduce. For example, similarly, mules are living organisms but are generally sterile and cannot produce offspring. This distinction is important. An individual organism may not reproduce, while the species as a whole continues through reproduction. NEET concept alert. Reproduction is an important characteristic of living organisms, but it is not an all-inclusive defining characteristic. Remember, reproduction maintains continuity of species. It can be sexual or asexual, but not every individual living organism reproduces. Some living organisms or individuals are unable to reproduce. Therefore, reproduction cannot be used as the sole criterion for defining life. Final NEET takeaway. Reproduction is a major characteristic of living organisms and ensures continuity of species, but it is not an absolute defining property of life. Reproduction is a major characteristic of living organisms and ensures continuity of species, but it is not an absolute defining property of life. Reproduction is an important characteristic of living organ characteristic. For example, sterile worker bees, mules, and infertile individuals